Warm greetings, everyone. On behalf of W4W Foundation, a think tank instituted and as a citizen collective, we welcome you for another session of Wednesdays for Water. The conversation today is on understanding waste in India, biodiversity, catch, and consumption. The objective of Wednesdays for Water is to engage in conversations with water experts, grassroots practitioners, policymakers, and youth to explore the complex intervening issues associated with water and possible solutions. It had it has expanded since then to have a more activities like Fridays for Water, Monday Munching with Women, besides organizing water workshops, water walk and talks, seminars, special courses, and conference panels to continue the water conversation in various possible ways. Please visit their website w4w.in for more details. My name is Nitya Bangapalli and I'm the moderator and host for the session for W4W. The session Understanding Waste in India, Biodiversity, Catch and Consumption is co-hosted with Saki Waters, and I'm honored to invite Dr. Jayati Chaudhary as the discussant in the session. Rays are among the most misunderstood inhabitants of our ocean, often hidden beneath the sand and mistaken for sharks. These Asian fishes have existed over 150 million years and play a vital role in maintaining healthy marine ecosystems. From regulating benthic food webs and connecting coastal and open ocean systems, rays are key indicators of ocean health. Despite their ecological importance, many ray species face increasing pressure from habitat destruction, bycatch, target fishing driven market demand. In Indian waters, rays, says electric rays, shark rays, mobula rays are regularly encountered yet remain poorly studied and underrepresented in conservation planning. Understanding rays require more than biological data alone. It demands insights from fishers, markets, and communities who interact with them every day. Today's session brings together ecology research, human dimensions to explore the current status of ray in India, the key challenges they face, and pathway towards a sustainable coexistence. Today, we invite the first speaker, Amit Kumar. Amit Kumar holds a master degree in marine ecology and toxic genomics from Madurai Kamaraj University and PhD in marine ecology from University Italy. In 2016, he joined as assistant professor in Center of Climate Change Studies, Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. Currently, he serves as an associate professor. His marine biology lab at Satyabama is involved in marine coastal biodiversity assessment and investigating the response of marine organisms to predict climate change stressors. His lab has received fundings from various national and international agencies during including DST, ICMR, MOES, IDEA Wild Grant, eDNA Microgen USA. He's one of the early career representatives in steering committee in South Asia Regional Hub on ocean acidification and global ocean acidification observing network. Please speak over to you, sir.
Okay, I hope my slides are visible and I am audible.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, as Nitya has already introduced me, I am Dr. Amit Kumar, presently working in Satyabama University as associate professor, and I am leading a marine biology research lab in the university. And in today's presentation, I'll be speaking about one of the project which we've been doing, that is Project Ray, especially focusing on the electric rays of India. If you have ever visited to the fish landing centers, be it an artisanal one or it is a mechanized landing center, you would always see that there are lumps of the fishes which are out there as a part of the bycatch, and these fishes are basically, some of those fishes are basically electric rays. So this is how it appears in the fish landing center, and these electric rays are basically belonging to a very unique group of fishes that have a specialized electrical organ, and which produces the electric shock 8 to 200 volt depending on various different species. So as you can see on the screen that there is a example for narsin, which is a kind of electric ray, and they have the electric organ. So electric organ do have the electrocyte cells, which are basically modified muscle cells. They have lost the capability to contract, but they have gained the power to give you the shock. They are relative of famous charismatic sharks. If you can see in the class Chondriactis, in the subclass Elasmobranchi, we have the superorder Batoidae, and in which we have all the rays, skates, and the sophists. They are even closer relative to the guitar fishes, stingrays, and the skates. You will be listening about the stingrays and the other rays by the next speaker. All the electric rays comes in the order Torpidiniformes, and there are 4 major families, a total of 68 recognized species, out of which at least 14 have been reported from India. So you can see that the species of the electric ray which are reported from India belongs to the family Torpidinidae, Narcidae, Narcinidae, right? So these 3 families, we have the representation from our country. They are very important ecologically because they are the mesopredators. They balance the food pyramid in the especially in the coastal food chain, in the bottom food chain. They comes in the trophic level of 3.1 to 4.5, and basically they are feeding or preying on the smaller fishes which are dwelling on the benthic organisms. So, or which are dependent on the benthic organisms. So they play a very important role in balancing the food chain there. In India, they are not the targeted fishes. They are not being targeted by any of the fisheries. They are rarely consumed, yet they are forming a significant portion of the bycatch. Even though they form the significant portion of the bycatch, we have very little information on their ecology and the biology. They are slow-growing species, slow-growing group of fishes. They live long with a prolonged gestation period and have low fecundity. So whether these characters make them vulnerable or are they in danger? If we look into the 68 species known globally, 32 of them are at the risk of extinction, coming under various different categories listed by IUCN Red List, either as vulnerable, endangered, near threatened, or critically endangered. And 14 of the species, we have no information on the species. So they are data deficient or yet to be evaluated. So it would not be wrong to fairly say that they are in danger given the current status according to the IUCN Red List. And if you look into the IUCN statements or the justifications, their assessment justification, you will find that most of the information given for the electric rays are coming from their relatives sharks or the rays, basically the elasmobranch fisheries. Most of the information about their biology, about their places where they are located, about their ecology and the biological information are coming from, as I said, either from the other stingrays or very few studied electric rays. Very, very few species-specific population status evidence are available for the electric rays. So what we've been doing, we are trying to evaluate the electric rays along the Indian coast. Particularly, we are studying in the southeast region, but then we are covering more or less entire east coast of India. We are trying to look into the species-specific population biology or population ecological status for some of the species. We are talking to the fisher folks in order to get the traditional ecological knowledge. And then we are also involved in spreading the awareness to promote the conservation for the electric rays. Not going too much into deep that what we've been doing, but then as you can see in the map, we have covered more than 15 artisanal villages across the east coast of India, starting from Odisha in the north till Rameswaram in the south, so Puri to Rameswaram. And we have visited most of these locations in order to know the traditional knowledge what fisher folks possess about the electric rays. Electric rays, they are commonly called as shock mean or shock timely. Shock because of the current it produces, and mean is basically fish, so it can be translated electric rays as the mean shock mean. Two major groups, torpedo and the Narsin and Narke. They are known variably in the local areas. Like torpedo is mostly famous as Timli, Timri, or Timmi along the different villages in the different states in the eastern coast. Narsin and Narke are commonly called as Simli or Jimri. Just a moment. With the help of the fisher folks' traditional ecological knowledge and our own surveys along the east coast, we have observed that at least 13 species were identified by the fisher folks and during our field visits. And these are here in the pyramid graph. You can see majority of the species belong to torpedo, or many of the fisher folks says that they have seen torpedo for a very long period of time. So they are very much aware about the electric rays. They are very much aware about the electric shock it produces. They are transferring the knowledge from, across the generations, that how to handle these electric rays. They also said that most of the electric rays comes in the month of December, January, and February. So kind of you can see that in Tamil Nadu or in southern Andhra Pradesh at the time of monsoon, and then in Odisha and the northern Andhra Pradesh, it is available across the year in various numbers. So if we look into the average, we can see that close to 13 to 15 individual per day in different artisanal villages, we are able to see the electric rays, right? So converting into that more than 3,000 artisanal villages, the number is huge. So every day they are being caught in a very large number across the country. And we have made this electric rays of India images are taken from the last rays of the world book, but then these are the commonly occurring electric rays in India. We try to understand that what is the fisher's attitude and the perceptions toward the electric ray, and then we try to understand that when they collect, what do they do. You can see that more than 30 to 35% of the fishers said that they release the electric rays as they have very less economical value. There are not much flesh, there is not much value to it, so they generally release. Many of them said that more than 50% said that they discard it after the death at the time of segregation, once they come back to the shore, and by the time they die, so they discard it. And interestingly, especially in the Orissa and the northern Andhra Pradesh, they said that they eat it as delicacy, and they also eat it because of the so-called traditional medicinal values. Especially if their belief is that these fishes helps them in the joint pains, in the nerve related issues, even the diseases like Alzheimer's and or disorders like Alzheimer's. These fishes are helpful. So such kind of traditional values these electric rays possesses in some of the villages. Even though you can see that occasional eating is also happening in some villages in Tamil Nadu, but much more in northern Andhra Pradesh and Orissa. In order to understand that what do they think about the decline of the electric ray, this more than 40% suggested that there is a decline in the electric ray catch. That would be maximum because of the overfishing, climate change related activities, or reasons, or aggressive fishing gears, pollutions. And more than 35% said that no observed changes, and these no observed changes are mostly from Odisha and the northern Andhra Pradesh. And you can see that some of all these values are not 100, because many of the fisher said that there could be more than one reason for the decline of the fishes, as you can see in the overfishing, and then either they are not sure that what could be the reason for the decline, but the decline is happening. So we have collected the fishes traditional knowledge regarding that. Not only we try to understand the overall picture or overall like status of the electric ray, we pinpointed to some of the species. Here I am presenting one of the result from one of the species, that is a Narsin timely. It is a small sized electric ray, ovoviviparous in nature, possess the electric organ which can discharge the volt of 8 to 37, having a relatively longer gestation period of 6 to 8 months. And very recently in 2021 or 22, the status changed from data deficient to vulnerable. But again, if you look into the IUCN status, the status has been changed based on the overall elasmobranch data, not coming from the species specific Narsin timely results. So we have collected the population status of Narsin timely based on 331 individual which we collected over the period of 2 years in Kovalam in South Chennai, and we have got 156 male, 175 female, including 13 gravid females, bringing a sex ratio of 1 to 1.21 male is to female. So slightly large number of the females. That could be, we cannot directly say that that is a general trend of higher female and then the male. That could also be the bias happening because of the catches and so on, right? Highest specimen were observed in the post-monsoon, lowest in summer. If we look into the length-weight relationship, it indicates the negative allometric growth, suggesting that the length increases more than the or faster than the weight. Median size ranges 17 to 20 centimeter, and interestingly, the maturity length of the Narsin timely is supposed to be 14 centimeter. So most of the specimen what we have found was adults. Pregnant females, especially 13 number, even though the number is smaller, we have found that it carried the 2 to 9 embryos, which is unique in study, because earlier reports suggest that they can carry 2 to 5 embryos. So having 9 was interesting observation, or for the very first time for this species. We did not find any correlation between the maternity length and the fecundity. In particular, if we look also into the electric cells or the electrocyte cells, we found that average length of the electric organ in adult was 4.3 centimeter. In embryos, we also observed that was 1.1 centimeter. But the mean electrocyte count was 118 in adult and 122 in embryo. So kind of like similar in the embryo versus the adult, suggesting that the electrocyte count is relatively not changing across the life stages. Only the size is changing. So the development of the electrocyte cells are happening even in the embryo. So as soon as it is coming out in the world, it is possessing the potential to give the shock in order to either prey or to save themselves from the threat. So the take-home message: the rate at which the electric rays are caught in the artificial fisheries is alarming. They are struggling to withstand the ever-increasing anthropogenic threat these days. They are least studied group of organisms, so we need to have more and more species-specific information. They have long gestation period of 6 to 8 months, so they are being caught throughout the year according to our data. So that's a cause of concern. So we are working on creating the awareness for the electric ray. Without wasting too much time, I will just go through this particular website. Just a moment. I think I will need to share it again. Okay, so as you can see that we have made this particular website, that is the Electric Rays of India. Here you will be able to get all the information about the electric rays, about different kinds of types for the identification. What are the morphological features for every family? How do you identify it? Guide to the families reported from India. We have also made the phylogenetic tree for understanding the species relationship taxonomic relationship among the different species within the electric ray. You can be able to get the ecology and the biology, meaning that where do they live, what do they eat, what is their position in the food chain, food web, how do they prey, how do they use the electric organ to prey. And then we have also embedded some of the YouTube videos where you can see that how the electric rays are stunning the octopus in two of these videos. I'm not running it maybe because of the copyright issues, but then you can be able to get the YouTube link in this particular website. What threats do they face? What is their IUCN category? And why we believe that they are in danger? Because of the slow reproduction, overfishing. So all these reasoning have been given. Besides, you will also find the guide to Indian species, 13 species, 14 species, what is known. So if you click on each of these species, you will end up with the description, color, size, about their biology, and then the relative or the respective literature which is there for that species. Some of the useful resources for marine biologists or whoever is interested in the electric rays, you can find the guide to electric rays. And then we have also made some of the material, study material for the kids, like maze or puzzles, coloring pages. So if you click on it, it will download, and then especially for the kids. So they enjoy very much doing these kind of activities. You will get update about our ongoing research work. We have done several outreach activities. One was conducting the event at the Blue Flag Beach, where a lot of students, kids interacted, and we did a lot of coloring activities, a lot of other activities which kept them engaged, and they learned about the electric rays. So these kind of events we are doing. We have also done previously one online webinar where even Divya has spoken about her work on the rays. So all those reports are available along with some of the YouTube videos or the recording of that event. So with that, I will conclude my talk. Just a minute. So I'd like to thank Shrutika, who got Ruford Foundation project. She was the research scholar in our research group, and Prakash, our colleague, who helps us in all the work which we do. And of course, funding from Satyabama and all the lab members of Center for Climate Change Studies, and fisher folk and the volunteers at the field locations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was an interesting session. Now I invite this speaker to Divya Kannan. Dr. Divya Kannan is an associate professor at Ashoka University and currently a senior lecturer at University of Exeter, UK. She co-founded In Season Fish, India's first sea-to-table sustainable seafood initiative. She is also a Wings Woman of Discovery Fellow 2025, a Condor Nast Excellence in Culinary Conservation awardee, and Future for Nature awardee as well. Her work lies at the intersection of social science and ecology with a focus of fisheries and the conservation of sharks and rays. She co-chairs the Human Dimensions Working Group of IUCN's CC, Shark Specialist Group. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, and thanks for this opportunity to talk in this forum to the W4W Foundation. I mean, it's great to follow Dr. Amit's talk because I think he really laid it out well in terms of, the different types of species and so on. I think I'm going to pick up that thread from there. I don't know if you can see the slideshow because I can't see the slideshow. Now I can. I hope it's visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So, picking up the thread from what Dr. Amit was talking about, his excellent work on electric rays is, one part of this picture, and I've been trying to look at some of the other parts of the picture as part of our work at In Season Fish, where we are trying to connect this idea of sustainable seafood also to marine conservation. And we've chosen sharks and rays as the sort of focal species because They are this interesting mix of being commercially important, being important for nutrition, but at the same time being highly susceptible to conservation threats and so on. Here today, I'll be talking about the work we are doing across different parts of India. And this is just one small part of the picture. We are doing a bunch of other things as well. And it's definitely not work that I'm doing alone. So I want to, shout out to all the people who are actually working in the field and, getting all of this done. I would definitely say look out for more work that's being done by Trisha Gupta and Brian Miranda, who have been really leading the charge with our work on guitar fish in Goa. Look out for work by Mayuri Chopra on Mobula rays, who has been leading the charge with respect to our work in southern Tamil Nadu and also parts of Andhra. And Nidhi Jori, who's been heading most of our stingray work in West Bengal. So yeah, definitely keep these people in mind because most of what I'll be talking about in the next few slides are mainly headed by them. So what I wanted to kind of start out with is a sort of nice picture. We've been talking about dead fish. Let's try and spot some live fish. So what you saw in that video are these critically endangered species called wide-nosed guitarfish. And many of us on the team have had the opportunity to see these fish live, in the water and so on, which makes us think that, oh, they must be present everywhere. But unfortunately, this is not the case. The majority of rays in India, unfortunately, are threatened to various degrees. More than 50% actually are either endangered or critically endangered at this point. And the rest of them are in various degrees of being threatened with extinction. Particularly the families of guitar fishes, which also includes wedge fishes and sawfishes, as well as mobula rays, seem to be among the most threatened. And most of the information we seem to have on these rays is mostly fisheries dependent. We're sort of waiting for the fishermen to pull them out of the water and then kind of see what is happening with them. So, especially after we saw these guitar fishes alive and near the beach, we thought that we should try and do something that's a bit different. So we decided to try and understand these rays without the lens of looking at it through fisheries. So we developed this new method where we basically walked on the seashore like this. And we call these walking transects. We decided to do this at different times of the day and night, and that was decided by phases of the tide, moon, light, and so on, because we really wanted to understand what is it that is driving these species. And we did it at different times and in different places.
Sorry to interrupt here, Divya, but I would like to know from everyone if your voice is got very low volume.
Suddenly, your voice
Yes,
reduced.
yeah.
Okay.
My voice?
Yes, because it completely dropped by 50%, the sound.
Okay,
Okay.
check. Is this better?
Better. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so what we did then was to try and estimate the population of the live fish. Because they were coming so close to shore, we didn't really need to go by boat and check it in the water. We could just sort of see it from the shore. And using this kind of a belt transect as well as various statistical tools, we were able to come up with numbers of these guitar fish at different sites across Goa. And we found this particular beach called Galjibag, which seems to have a very large number of these guitar fish. It also happens to be one of these beaches in Goa, which until recently was not really one of the big tourist destinations. Sadly, that seems to be changing. But what we noticed is where there were fewer people on the beach, there seemed to be more guitar fish. And also during the day, when there were fewer people on the beach, especially at night rather than during the day, there were more guitar fish. So there seems to be some kind of an inverse relationship between human use of the beach and these guitar fish. And we found that the peak numbers were between November and December. So the additional thing we did was to also look at the sizes of the animals that we were seeing. And what we noticed is that the majority of the guitar fish that were using these nearshore areas were juveniles. So it seemed like all the pups, the little baby guitar fish, were really using these areas, particularly between November and December. And using a number of criteria that are internationally recognized, we identified this area as a possible nursery site. Now, we can't confirm this until we do multiple years of data collection and so on, but definitely it's one of those important places that we should keep in mind to protect this critically endangered species. We also did some work looking at what the fishermen were talking about with respect to this species. And they reported a different time of year in which they encountered adults. So there's clearly a different time when the adults are coming closer to shore and when the juveniles are coming closer to shore. And with respect to the people, they do seem to be utilizing the guitar fish when possible, more in South Goa than North Goa. And also, the south of Goa seems to have more of these juveniles and nursery sites than the north. So based on this combination of using people's local ecological knowledge and these kind of scientific surveys where we could identify the numbers, we have been able to, collaborate with the IUCN Shark Specialist Group and get this area designated as an important shark and ray area. This is sort of the first step in then trying to, make sure that this site receives the protection and so on that it needs to slowly be protected either as a community conserved reserve or some kind of a marine protected area. The second part of the work is looking at the mobula rays on the east coast of India. Here, this was very much a fisheries dependent sort of assessment because assessing mobula rays out in the ocean is pretty tough. We're hoping to do it in future, but yeah, it's something that will take some time. What we did have was data from two different periods that were across a decade. And what we could notice with that is the amount of change that has happened over that decade. So the peak landing times seem to have changed. Earlier, people were catching a lot of them in May. Now May is the fishing ban season. So the landing time has now shifted to after the ban. And this actually seems like the ban is actually having an effect on when people are fishing. So that's a good thing. At least we're seeing some compliance with the ban. And the main species that people seem to be catching is the spine-tailed devil ray or Mobula mobular. Unfortunately, once we started looking at this particular species in more detail, what we noticed was various signs of overfishing in terms of the sizes of the animals being caught, the other species composition that's coming along with this species, and so on. What we were able to do with all of this information was to then feed it into a policy process going towards the Convention in International Trade of Endangered Species. So recently, the mobula rays were tabled for an uplisting within that convention. And we were able to use our data to show that some of these species are really highly threatened in India. by the fisheries in particular, that India is like a big hotspot which needs a lot of conservation focus. And that the landings are not only about the gill plates going for international markets and so on, that there is quite a big demand for the meat which people are eating. So this demand for meat is something I think Dr. Amit also spoke about, and we've seen it with guitar fishes. Now we're seeing it with mobula rays. So that really made us think that we should look more at this demand for meat in more detail. We first started doing this by looking at restaurants. And this was, work that we did during the pandemic when we tried to look at online menus from restaurants and so on. We didn't find that there were many restaurants that were actually serving ray meat. Most of them were advertising shark meat, although when we did some interviews with some of the restaurant owners, they did say that they couldn't make out whether they were actually getting shark meat or ray meat. But nevertheless, what they were advertising was shark meat, for which the hotspots were in Goa and Tamil Nadu, and there they seem to prefer these small-bodied sharks because there were certain medicinal values associated with it. But this was completely missing out on the rays. So what we realized was that rays are probably consumed more in people's homes rather than in restaurants. And so we decided to start working on that in more detail, particularly in West Bengal, where there is reportedly a relatively high consumption of ray meat. So we've started doing some surveys there with consumers, and some of the preliminary sort of reasons why people seem to be eating it is because of the ease of eating this kind of meat without bones. It seems to be easy to give this kind of meat either to kids or to older people who find it difficult to chew meat and so on, as well as the medicinal values that have been mentioned before. The one thing that is a bit concerning is that consumers themselves have been noticing a decline of availability and a consequent rise in the price of the ray meat. So this is telling us that it's not just in the fisheries, but also in the consumption that people are noticing declines. So what we plan to do next is to examine the trade and value chains and try and do more of this fisheries independent work for many more species, not just the guitar fish. And definitely what we are committed to doing is to convert all of this science into evidence-based conservation through our in-season fish work. In-season fish works at different levels with seafood consumers, with people in restaurants, with students in schools, and so on. And as far as possible, we have been trying to use our science to actually affect some kinds of behavioral change among the general public. So I think I'll stop here and just thank all our funders and collaborators who've helped us through the years with various parts of these projects. So thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. It was such an interesting topic. Okay, I now invite Dr. Jayanti Chowdhury. She's an executive director of South Asia Interdisciplinary Water Resources Study, SAPI Waters. She holds a PhD in integrated ecosystem-based water resources management from Indian Institute of Forest Management, Bhopal. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my microphone is behaving strangely. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Amit and Dr. Divya, for this wonderful and so interesting session. Actually, we all love biodiversity series sessions because that's the purpose. Because here, like we talk about other creatures on this planet, like to be precise, under the water. Because most of our conversations on water are centered around human needs like drinking water or irrigation, floods. But water is also home to an extraordinary world of life that rarely gets space in these discussions. So, so I'm happy that today we learned about some new species and new groups. Because this series is meant to really it's about like shifting that lens like to these wonderful creatures. So here, I would not take much time. Just to begin the discussion, I have like one basic question, and once we start this open discussion, I would also like to invite other audience. They can briefly like switch on their camera, video, and the microphone and ask their questions, or otherwise they can also post their questions in the chat box. So
So,
my
Jyoti,
question
sorry.
is,
Sorry, I
yes.
have to interrupt here because you mentioned about video. We are not seeing you. We would like to see you.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think today some issue with my device.
Hmm.
Are you able to see me now?
Not really because you are logged in with two devices. Hmm.
Okay. How is it now?
Now we see you. Now we see you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so you see me in another device. Yeah, so the one question I would like to ask you is because it's very important from conservation point of view, that do you also see this migration? Like, do rays show migration or seasonal movement from, for example, east coast to west coast or some other part of the world to Indian Ocean? Because that's very important to have a comprehensive or integrated plan to conserve rays. So could you please share something about like their migration pattern? So I think it's for both of you because you both talked about two different species, like Dr. Amit about electric rays, and then you about guitar fish. So could you please, both of you, like it's open. This question is open for to both of you. So, like, we can start with Dr. Amit. So do they do rays show migration?
Uh, Thank you, Jyoti, for the question. Uh, the electric rays are small in size. Mostly they are confined in the coastal waters, not very much in the open sea, or as far as I know. And then their connectivity, they go to some extent, but I don't think that they go from Bay of Bengal to Arabian Sea, as far as I know. Also, not related with the electric rays, we have done some work with the stingrays based on earlier published literature and then the genetic connectivity, wherein we can easily find that some of the electric rays are genetically diverged uh, or very much different from the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. So I don't think that too much movement is happening even in the big stingrays. Uh, Most of these data is dependent on the fisheries collected data, so or the landing data. So saying that from where uh, it has moved, it is very difficult, or what is their migration pattern is very difficult. If you look in the southern part, some of the fishers are going from, let's say, in the west coast, that is in the Kerala coast, and they end up coming to east coast or in the southern part of the Tamil Nadu. So where they have collected the rays or where they have collected the fish, it's somewhat we have to totally depend on the fishermen. So how much is the diversity? Their distribution is, I don't think that there are much information, but I would love to know from Divya if she is having more information on this.
Sure, yeah. I think the mobula rays, the mantas and devil rays are famously big migrators. They follow the phytoplankton blooms and the other plankton as they move across the water currents. And so you definitely see that seasonality also in the fisheries, where there are certain seasons where they catch the mobula rays and certain seasons where they don't catch as many because the rays have moved away from the area. So yeah, they are, they migrate all across the Indian Ocean basically. But we don't know that much in detail because it would be nice to be able to, track them and tag them and so on, as has been done in other countries. But we are yet to do such work in India. For many of the more coastal species, I think I would agree with Dr. Amit that it's not easy to get this information on how far they are moving, and we sort of guesstimate that they are probably not moving as far as some of these more pelagic species that are out in the open ocean.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Amit and Divya. And my second question is about uh, impact of climate change on these vulnerable species. So, do you have any kind of studies available where they could prove that increase in temperature and salinity has like impacted these species? Yeah,
No,
it
as
is
far
also.
as
Yeah,
go
please go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay, so as far as I know, there are not many studies again saying the influence of temperature and acidification or some sort of thing with the biology of most of these species, because again, how you can't expect or you can't imagine doing the lab-based experiment with these things. Very tough to manage in the lab, and I don't think that such information exists. From the field-based studies, maybe again depending on uh, correlating with the environmental parameters and their availability, maybe there are some studies, but as such, there are no direct studies with the climate change.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just to add to that, I think there have been some modeling studies again on these large pelagic species like mobula rays because they are so dependent on ocean currents and so on, which are affected by climate change. So based on the predicted impacts on ocean currents, they are able to say something about what will happen to the mobula rays and how they move.
Okay.
And based on local knowledge from fishermen and so on, we are able to understand something about how the coastal rays are also reacting to the very hot water, especially in summer and so on. But now none of this has been done in a scientific way as such.
Okay, so I think like I have many more questions, but I'm sure that others also would like to ask questions. Nitya, do you want to start, or maybe we can invite our audience to ask their questions?
Yeah, we can invite the audience. I do have questions, but I'll give the chance.
I'm sure Mansi has a lot. So, Mansi, do you want to start?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Divya and Amit, for this wonderful session, and welcome back, Amit. It's always good to hear you. And also that our speakers get more speakers for us. So before I ask question, I also want to invite all the participants who are here, if you have a story to tell, please join us in our club of near 700 speakers who have spoken on our platform, making us the longest water conversation ever taken place in the world. So be part of the W4W family, and we are a very close-knit, very warm family. My question is more research method based, because both our speakers today iterated the fact that their data or their research is based on the fisheries or the landing fishes at the birth. How do you then, because I teach research method, although I don't have students from fisheries, how do you really adjust the research biases or triangulate your research validation in terms of how do you project what is the, what are the threats, or how many, I mean, population is, of course, you are not doing it, as I understand, from my little knowledge of nearly 15 biodiversity sessions, 18 biodiversity sessions which we have. Longest session in W4W. What's your take on this? I would like to have both of you. And meanwhile, all the participants are encouraged to warm up. I didn't want to really jump into this conversation, but it is just to warm you up. Over to you. Amit, you want to go first, or we are taking the same turn? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, especially if we are looking into these kind of studies, we are somewhat dependent on not somewhat, we are very much dependent on fisheries data and what fisher folks are telling us. So I think if we are conducting the studies at higher spatial scale, or otherwise if we are conducting more longitudinal surveys, we can be able to get a get a get a common perspective or get a clear perspective. But just with one-off surveys in few locations, like going to just a few fish landing centers, we may get those biased results. So I think these kind of studies are very much dependent on the fisher folk and then the fisheries. So yeah.
Do you arrive to some numbers when you eventually write your scientific papers, or do you leave it open-ended? So maybe Divya can fill it up as a next part of the answer.
So when we did the marine policy, we have done the marine policy paper saying that what is the fishers' attitude and perceptions toward the electric rays. We faced the similar problem, like how do you quantify all the data, what they are saying. So what approach we took is that we of course gives the quantitative data in terms of how many fishers are saying what for any questions, but many open-ended questions we have given as such. So for example, the dialogues. So we use the inverted commas and we made a table and wrote that what their response was. And then we just tried to summarize that overall what they said. But even those quotes are there in the paper, and which is very much open for everyone to read and then either interpret or again go back in the same study location and then see that if there is any change in the perception. So that is what we did. Yeah, Divya, you can add.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think just like Dr. Amit was saying, it's I mean, getting information from the fisheries is really important. One way to look at it is that it might introduce biases. The other way to look at it is that the fishermen have really important information that they have got over generations. And they are sort of our eyes and ears in the water, because we have really not been doing this research for very long, maybe like 20 years, 50 years at the most, but they have been there for like so many generations. So even when we started our work in Goa looking at the guitar fish, we first went and spoke to the fishermen, and they were the ones who gave us this idea of, where should we look for them in North Goa. Galji Bagh is really important. All of these sort of clues were what we got from the fishermen, which turned out to be really important. And we were able to verify this independently without, the fisheries data. Yeah, so definitely I think we need to take this information that we are getting from the fishermen very seriously, because they do give us a lot of good information. But it is possible for some of the nearshore species at least to get fisheries independent data now, because there are so many new techniques and technologies available that we can use. So it is becoming more and more possible. I think earlier it was just financially a bit crazy to try and do all this underwater stuff.
Jayati, you have your hand raised. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So my this next question is related to what Divya and Amit just mentioned. that now like you have advanced level technology which can help you with deeper research and also in continuous monitoring. So what do you think, like when it comes to India, why do we have very less number of research available on this kind of species or topics? Is it because of lack of sufficient investment, financing, or it's because very less people are interested in pursuing this kind of research? So where do you feel that what is lacking?
So, based on our experience, one is that always marine biological observations or field are more expensive in comparison to land-based or like forest-based studies. Because the moment you go in the water, and if we are talking about underwater, you need to have either the scuba gears, the trained manpower, human resources, and then always you are dependent on weather, always you are dependent on various factors which are not in your control in most of the fields. So you plan a field, you go there, and then you realize either something is missing, either weather is not perfect, if it is rainy, so such kind of thing increase the cost of the overall project. Second thing is that, which of course is changing, is even I would say a point like male female ratio, kind of like female scholars. So such kind of thing was there in the past, is there in the present, will be there in the future, unfortunately, but that is decreasing. So if we see a human resource, uh, exposure, awareness, money, and then the difficulties in the field. So combinedly, all those things are making it more challenging to study the sites. For example, when we are doing the fisheries survey, one of the local fisher, not one, several of the local fishers are saying that there is a site where if you go, you will get the electric rays. Electric rays are bottom dwelling, so mostly they will be at the surface. I'm sorry, at the bottom, at the sea side surface. So it's not possible for you to just go there directly. But the challenge in Chennai waters is the visibilities are always challenging. Hardly you will have a period of Jan, Feb, and March where you can do the diving and where you can go and do the survey. So first, that even if you want to go, you are restricted only for these 2-3 months. Now, along with that, the challenge come is that you have to have a scuba partner, or like the people who are here, and that is very less. So again, everything combined makes it more complex to go and validate the site. Similar thing which we saw in one of the Visakhapatnam area, not exactly Visakhapatnam, little bit far from Visakhapatnam. Fisher folks said that if you go there, you will find a lot of torpedoes. Unfortunately, we could not go at that time, but one few of our field volunteers went there, and they actually found the torpedoes. And then it was not possible to go down with the diving or any other activities. So they put the net and they got the torpedoes. So they do have the information. They can tell us, but then whether we can go and validate and whether we can go and do, like a spatial or temporal study, that is a very big challenge. Yeah, so that is one thing which you have to see.
Yeah, so in addition to, I think, these daily sort of practical problems, I think there are also systemic problems in terms of just the percentage of the Indian budget that goes towards research is already, I think, really small. And out of that, obviously, the majority will go towards, things that the government think have practical applications in physics and things related to defense and all of those things. So where marine biology comes in, that is way at the bottom of that list. Um, so if you compare it, for example, to countries like Australia and the US and so on, where they have very big research programs in marine biology, uh, pretty much every university that is near a coastal area will have its own ship and its own, not just research vessel, its own like marine biological station. But here you can't even think of any university that has its own research vessel. I mean, there is one research vessel that multiple government agencies are currently kind of sharing. But sadly, it's very difficult for Indian citizens to really, collaborate and use that vessel. I mean, it is possible technically, but it requires lots of hurdle jumping. So, yeah, so I think these are many of the challenges that we face.
You raised a very pertinent point because at this moment I am sitting at the Institute of Biology and Chemistry in Wilhelmshaven, north of Germany, with the University of Oldenburg, who have a very sophisticated field station and all other things required. And we are constantly receiving research scholars, visiting scholars to really take samples and study samples, and very highly sophisticated lab to study all kinds of sediment, water temperature, coral, you name it, and we have it here. So I really feel proud now that we have this facility in Germany. But Nitya, over to you. We will try to close it as soon as possible because my researchers are facing problem in editing long videos, because usually biodiversity series we get carried away and these are very long sessions. Nitya, over to you.
Okay. I had one question to Divya, Dr. Divya. Uh, you work in seafood consumption. You have dealt with a lot of customers. What are the positive and negative feedbacks you have gotten? And what are the reviews from a positive customer? And what is the change in behavior you have seen?
Yeah, sure. So I think in terms of working with the people who eat seafood, for the most part, I think nobody in the beginning really thought about any of this from a sustainability angle. At the most, people were thinking about price, firstly. And also, there is this aspirational aspect to eating certain fish which are more expensive. And finally, I think, I mean, people were just eating it out of cultural habits and all of that. No one was really thinking about sustainability and why is the price increasing and all of these things. So I think bringing that awareness has been something that many of the seafood eaters have received positively because they just had no information earlier, and now when we are talking about this, they're like, oh, okay, that's why our price is increasing because there are fewer fish now. Okay, so that makes sense, and that kind of thing. So I think that has been a real positive in terms of creating behavioral change. People seem to change very slowly. So we started this work, like 2016, 17, talking about sustainable seafood and so on. It took till about, 2022 for us to start seeing some changes that people are bringing in. Of course, the independent restaurants and so on, people were willing to take a few risks and try out a few things. But the larger chains and the traders and all of them were just very resistant in the beginning. So it has definitely taken a very long time for this volume about this topic to really build up and people to start feeling like, okay, we should also do something. So the pace of change, I think, has been a bit disappointing given how urgent the threat is. That we need people to move fast and, do these things. I think that speed is not matching up.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I think there is one, two questions from the audience. Could you, audience, someone, you can unmute and ask the question as well. We are in short time, so Aditi, sorry.
Oh,
Aditi.
hi, sorry. Yeah, I was just thank you both of you. It was amazing to listen to what is happening in the race space in India. I am from Chennai originally, but I've recently moved to New Zealand, and a very popular group here is Manta Watch. I'm pretty sure you would be aware of them. So they were using citizen science, which was something that I thought was really interesting and might be a low cost, um, effective method that we could potentially use in India with, not only tourists but also maybe fishermen taking photos and videos, and um, how they have like an app set up uploaded there that might help us know things about their migration. I was just wondering if it would work in our Indian setting. And yeah, that was one question. And the other was, um, a little away from the topics you spoke about, but I was wondering if you know how tourism affects race, perception of tourists to race, because a lot of them I think are scared of them. And also like new businesses that are coming up, like the whole seaweed and seagrass businesses that are coming up in the coast. I think it's happening in Tamil Nadu, quite popular one. So these were my two questions. I just wanted to hear your thoughts about it.
Can I go for the first one about citizen science? Yeah, so in terms of setting up citizen science platforms, I think with the divers, people are already doing this, and getting many of the dive schools together to kind of uh, take pictures and keep records of what they are seeing underwater and so on. We actually had worked on social media data. So just pictures from social media on sharks and rays, and trying to see what we can understand from this, which is actually quite a lot that we were able to get out of it. And I think now in the age of these large language models and so on, I think getting people to take pictures and using those pictures for scientific purposes is much, much easier now. So there's definitely a lot of scope for this kind of thing. The only issue is now whether people are willing to really do this. There are already platforms where people are doing this, like iNaturalist and so on. I don't know whether it's worth setting up something separately where again they have to sign up to some new thing and upload there. I think it makes sense to kind of, work with the existing platforms and, take the data from there itself.
Right, that makes sense. Thank you.
So, okay.
Yeah, I think iNaturalist do have a lot of photos
Yeah.
taken from different locations, so that could be
Yes.
that's a good place to collect the. Yeah.
Okay. I thank both the speakers, Dr. Divya Kandad and Dr. Amit Kumar. Thank you, JT and Mansi. And so, as we have heard how an ecological research is revealing the worrying population trend, how conservation therefore cannot be succeeded with community participation, and a proper policy should be required, and we need to be responsible consumers as well. So I think we need to step forward, taking an action and shared empathy as well, and a collective responsibility for our oceans. So thank you everyone for tuning in. We had an amazing session. So let's not end with the awareness alone, but with the responsibility and action. Do keep. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Nitya, for organizing this session and getting the speakers on board, because it is never easy for a young scholar to convince the seasoned players to speak. And I am learning that I have to really step in to make our speakers be more responsive to young scholars. She is really trying to be the new face at W4W. I am tired of doing 400 sessions. I must be honest on that. And thanks, Jyoti, again, and Amit to come back and do this. And welcome aboard Divya in our W4W family. Before I let you go, I would also like to announce our next forthcoming sessions. They are equally interesting as we heard today and equally interesting speakers. This week, we actually have a very interesting session on Friday Water Arts. As Nitya actually forgot to mention that other than Wednesdays for Water, we have a very interesting session on Friday Water Arts, Water Talkies, Water Reading Club, where we invite authors, Water Thesis Club, where we invite PhD scholars. So if both the professors, if you have PhD scholars who are doing interesting work, they get a solo platform to talk here. It's my favorite session, to be honest, the Thesis Club. This Friday Water, we have on January 30th, Water Art session, where we have two wonderful dancers, Odissi dancers. They are going to talk about dancing rivers, Odissi, climate and embodied practices of peace and resilience. And they will come straight from UK to, I think, do some live performance also on the screen, as well as do some talking around, because they are also conducting research there. We usually do not announce the names of the speakers so that you walk into our web space and check them out, www.w4w.in. Next Wednesday is also our series, which is a riverscape series, just following up with the biodiversity series, the longest session. We are actually going to the Guwahati riverfront, where we talk about taming the mighty Brahmaputra by a tiny town, which is Guwahati. And we have speakers, environmentalists and planners talking about it. Next Monday, which is our Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, we are closing very close to 100, and we will close it there. I invite Divya to be one of our speakers in the few sessions. We have Dr. Veena Srinivasan on February 2nd to speak on her life journey, which is our Monday session at 5 p.m. All our sessions are at 5 p.m. All the educational material is available free for everyone, and that's where it is a citizens collective, and we try to build our think tank together. Thanks Amit, Divya, Jayati and Nitya once again, and thanks to all the participants, nearly 10,000 of them who have listened to us. We are really hopeful and grateful to all of you for your support and encouragement. See you soon. Bye bye and take care. Dive into the water, dive into the knowledge of it. Bye bye.